All right, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about something called Necator americanus. Its nickname? The American Murderer. Now that sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, doesn't it? But this isn't fiction. This is a real-life parasite, and its story is, well, it's just as incredible as it is terrifying.
And that name isn't just for dramatic effect. When the American zoologist Charles Wardell Stiles first identified this hookworm back in 1902, he literally chose the Latin word for murderer. That tells you everything you need to know about the kind of impact this thing had on people.
So what exactly is this creature? Well, Necator americanus is an endoparasite. The endo part means it lives inside its host. And we're not talking about a simple single-cell bug here, like a protozoan. No, this is a metazoan. It's a complex, multicellular animal, basically a tiny roundworm with its own organs and systems.
But how on earth does a tiny worm get a reputation like murderer? You see, it's not a quick killer. It's much more sinister than that. Think of it as a silent thief, one that slowly, methodically drains the life and energy from its hosts, and sometimes from entire communities.
You know, back in the American South, this parasite was responsible for a condition people cruelly called the germ of laziness. But of course, it had nothing to do with being lazy. It was a debilitating physical illness. The constant blood loss caused severe anemia, which led to this deep, profound exhaustion, and even cognitive stunting. It literally trapped millions of people in a cycle of poverty. In a very real way, it was murdering their potential.
Now, you might be thinking this sounds like a problem from 100 years ago, something that's confined to certain parts of the world. But here's the thing. In our incredibly connected world, Necator americanus has become quite the global traveler. So how does a parasite that thrives in warm, tropical soil end up in a place with a much cooler climate, like the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, it's actually known as an imported disease. The local climate is just too cold for it to survive and complete its life cycle naturally, so it has to hitch a ride. It usually arrives in one of three ways, with travelers and backpackers coming home from endemic areas, with migrants and refugees, and, this one's pretty interesting, it's also brought in for controlled research studies.
And what's really fascinating is that when labs in the Netherlands do find a hookworm infection, it's almost always Necator americanus. I mean, look at this. It accounts for a whopping 93% of cases. Other species like Ancylostoma duodenale are way less common. So even though it's an import, it is by far the most clinically important hookworm they deal with.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little, well, horrifying. How does this parasite actually pull off its invasion of the human body? It has this incredible multi-stage journey. Let's break down its 6-step invasion plan.
So, it all starts with microscopic eggs passed in the feces of an infected person. If those eggs land in warm, moist soil, they hatch into larvae. These larvae just hang out, waiting. The moment they come into contact with bare human skin, say your foot, they burrow right in and hit the bloodstream. From there, it's this wild ride through your body. They travel to your lungs, get coughed up into your throat, and then you swallow them. They finally end up in the small intestine, and that's where they settle in and mature into adults. It's unbelievable, right?
So, the parasite has made its epic journey. It's set up camp in the gut. What happens next? Well, now the real damage begins. It all boils down to that silent theft we talked about, the theft of your blood.
Each one of these adult worms uses its sharp cutting plates to latch onto the wall of your intestine, and it starts feeding. It drinks about 0.03 milliliters of blood every single day. Now that sounds like a tiny amount, right? It's less than a single drop. But here's the thing. Nobody ever gets infected with just one.
In a really heavy infection, a person could be hosting 1,000 of these worms. And suddenly, that tiny sip becomes 30 milliliters of blood loss every single day. Over time, that constant drain just depletes the body's iron stores, and that's what leads to the disease's signature symptom, severe iron deficiency anemia.
So with a thief this stealthy, how do you even catch it? Diagnosing a hookworm infection, especially in a country where it's not commonly found, takes some pretty sophisticated detective work.
For a long time, the only way was to look for eggs in a stool sample under a microscope. But that method isn't super sensitive, especially for light infections. Plus, the eggs of different hookworm species look almost identical. Today, the gold standard, especially in places like the Netherlands, is PCR. It's a molecular test that is incredibly sensitive. It can find even a tiny trace of the parasite's DNA, and it can tell you exactly which species you're up against. And this is where the story takes a completely unexpected turn.
We've spent all this time talking about Necator americanus as a pathogen, a murderer that causes disease. But what if I told you that some scientists are now looking at it as a potential treatment? I know, it sounds crazy, but this is a major twist.
So this is the big question we have to ask now. Could this organism, this parasite with a history of causing so much sickness and suffering, could it actually hold the key to treating modern diseases? It seems totally backward, but the science here is absolutely fascinating.
The whole idea is based on something called the old friends hypothesis. Basically, it suggests that for thousands of years, our immune systems evolved right alongside creatures like hookworms. Now, to survive inside us, these worms had to figure out how to release molecules that basically tell our immune systems to just calm down. The theory is that in our super clean modern world, we've lost these old friends. And without them, our immune systems are kind of bored, so they overreact, leading to the huge rise in autoimmune diseases.
And this is where the research gets really exciting. Scientists are actually running clinical trials where they intentionally infect patients with a small, controlled number of Necator americanus larvae. They're hoping that by reintroducing these old friends, they can help treat autoimmune conditions like celiac disease and asthma by getting those calming signals back into the immune system.
But let's be clear, despite all this promising research, you still really want to avoid getting hookworm in the wild. The good news is that infections are totally treatable with effective antiparasitic drugs. And prevention? It's even simpler. Proper sanitation and just wear shoes. Oh, and just so you know, we compiled all the information for this explainer using a Gemini deep search. If you want to dive deeper and check out the sources for yourself, we've put a link to all of them in the description below.
So this leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought to end on. Necator americanus seems to wear a lot of different hats, doesn't it? Is it the American murderer that drains people of their health and their potential? Is it a potential healer for some of our most frustrating modern diseases? Or is it maybe an ancient friend that our bodies have actually, in a weird way, started to miss? It seems like the answer might just be all of the above.
So what do you think? Is Necator americanus a villain, a hero, or something way more complicated? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed diving into the strange and surprising world of parasites, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.